Hey there, it's Melissa Benaroya with our very last Childproof Parenting Boot Camp today. You may be joining me because this is my usual Friday Facebook Live time, but I decided to combine the two so I can be here for you and answer any questions you might have. And if you're curious about boot camp, the live portion of it is over as of tonight, but you can still get all of the information and watch all of the Facebook Lives that we have had over the last week. And I'll fill you in just a few minutes on that. So don't feel like you missed out yet. So for all of you that are boot campers, you received an email this morning with your very last workout. And your last workout was to focus on creating some type of routine with your child. Now, routines are really important because they create really clear expectations. Our kids know exactly what they need to be doing when there is a routine created. And I suggested in this email that you use a routine chart or a routine list with older kids. So that way everything's laid out and they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Because I guarantee your kids probably know what they need to do in the morning to get ready to leave or at night to go to bed. But it's very easy to get sidetracked. And you and I have tools to keep ourselves organized and managed. I'm actually talking to you on the tool that I use to keep myself organized and remember to show up when I'm supposed to show up somewhere. So we have our own tools, and young kids need tools too to keep them organized and do everything that they need to do as well. So, in addition, I would just want to note that having routine also creates a feeling of calm. Our brains are wired, the human brain has been wired to feel greater calm when there are clear expectations and routine. So there are additional benefits to just your kids doing what they need to. There's definitely a calmer persona and environment when routines are utilized. Now, I had suggested using a routine chart, especially with young kids, because many times they're visual learners. So I suggest sitting down with your child and laying out what needs to happen during this stressful time of day. So for you, it may be the morning, it may be the evening, it might be after school when everybody needs to be doing homework. You pick the day that's most stressful for you and focus on that time. And ask your child, what are the things that you need to do when you get home from school? Or what do you need to do after dinner to get ready for bed? So ideally, they are telling you what needs to get done instead of you telling them. This helps keep you out of that power struggle. They're also much more likely to do these things when they say they need to do them and you don't tell them they need to do them. So being really intentional that this is a collaborative effort with our children. We are not sitting down and writing out a list or creating a chart for them. And actually, I got a question. I wrote it down. It said, I created a routine chart for my child a while back, but they wouldn't use it or follow it. And I think part of the reason is because this is just another thing we're telling our kids to do. Nobody likes to be told what to do. And unfortunately, our kids are told what to do all day long. So this is a way to pull you out of that dynamic of telling your child, get your shoes, make your lunch, put away the cereal, right? All of these things that we're constantly telling them to do, which creates a power struggle. We don't really realize that this power struggle is emerging, but from these tiny little requests and demands, a power struggle develops. So we are removed from the power struggle through the use of this chart. Now, being mindful that maybe your child knows generally what needs to happen in the morning, but doesn't know the specifics. So I think it's helpful once you've created this chart together that you take time for training, that you go through the process with your child. It may take a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, until you can slowly pull back and they can manage it on their own. Now, one of the other little tweaks to the use of the routine chart that I think is really powerful and much more effective is actually taking pictures of your child doing the things they say they need to be doing. So if you are using like a board as your routine chart, instead of having pictures of a cartoon character making the bed, have a picture of your child making the bed so they actually see themselves doing these things. And then as they go through their morning, their process, they can flip these pictures over. Now, one thing I want to share with you is I used this many, many years ago with my kids. They don't use the formal routine chart anymore. They now use their own kind of routine lists that they create for themselves. But I think that having that visual, having them involved, letting them be physically engaged. So once your child makes their bed, they go over and flip that one over. So I think being mindful that they're engaged, and when they get off track or they get tired or they find something more interesting to do, you can just redirect them back and just say, hey, what's next on the chart? And you go back and you're not telling them what to do again. So great tool for avoiding power struggles. Great tool to increase your child's responsibility. Great tool to get through mornings and evenings more quickly. One thing I wanted to mention, I was going to say a few minutes ago, was those morning routines and evening routines. Kids have sticky hands. So one thing I suggest is if you are printing out pictures of your child, that you maybe laminate them because that will ensure that your routine chart lasts a little bit longer. And it's great, update it every now and then. So maybe your routine starts with 4 things, and as your child gets older, it's 6 things, or things change in the morning. So just being mindful that this can change and develop over time. I know that for me, I started doing this when my youngest was 3 and my oldest was 5. And if you can believe it, my 3-year-old was much better at it. He's just much better at following along and doing what he needs to do. And my older one gets sidetracked. She's like super smart, but always just kind of flitting around, not exactly sure what she's doing next. So it was helpful for her because she really needed that tool. For him, he kind of picked it up and didn't need the chart very much anymore because he loved getting up in the morning, making his bed, getting dressed. I didn't see my kids until beds were made and they were dressed and shoes were out and ready to go, and then they come down and have breakfast. So it's really nice to not have to kind of remind and repeat, and it kind of starts to feel like nagging. So ideally we pull ourselves out of that nagging. So I did have a few questions I want to make sure I answer about this. Oh yeah, so the first one, somebody had asked if I thought it was effective to take their pictures, more effective to take their pictures than to use cartoon characters or words. Yes, especially little kids. They're not reading words. You could read it to them, but now you're part of that process. We want to step out of that process as much as possible. So I think using those pictures of themselves, it's a fun weekend activity. It doesn't take a lot of time. I know it's just one more thing to do, but trust me, it's going to save you a lot of time and energy in the long run. Another thing I want to note, in addition to having pictures of your child and letting your child help you come up with the ideas of what's on this chart, where it goes in the house is another thing that they can have some control over. Our kids are looking for power and control. So the more we can give them, the more they're going to feel cooperative and want to do these things on their own. So if it's in their bedroom or in the hall or on their door, wherever it might be, I suggest letting them come up with those ideas. And I have a blog post on creating routine charts, and I'm not sure if I sent you the link to it, but I will definitely link below, and there is a download there where you can get an example of what one looks like and just some general guidelines, so that way you're not kind of trying to figure out what this looks like or how to do it. So I'll make sure I link that below, and you'll notice I think I included a picture of my kids when they were little. I'm obviously not going to send out pictures of somebody else's kids, so they're very little in these pictures, and you may be able to tell it's very low to the ground. So our routine chart was morning focused, and it was located in the kitchen very low so they could reach it, they could manage it on their own. They didn't have to ask me to turn things over. Now, as they go through the process and they turn over each of those activities, some people get really creative. The back of mine had little check marks. Some people put a different Disney princess or a character or dinosaur, whatever your kid's into. So like make it fun, make it something they kind of own and something they connect to. You don't have to get fancy. I've seen all kinds of fancy routine or responsibility charts, but it's just another way to reinforce that, hey, you're done. That's great. All right, so I probably gave too much information on that one. I got another question today asking, should I create one for both the morning and the evening? Because both, I'm reading the question here, both are really stressful times of day. And I think in the long run, yes, it'd be great to have one to use with both, but I suggest to start off with one because this is new. It's gonna take energy to start this up. So just pick one time of day. So if it's the morning, the evening, homework, whatever it is, pick that time of day and just focus on that. Then you can add in another one. Okay, and I answered that last question about I created one for my kid and they're not following it, and my response to that was have them involved. If you create it for your kid and tell them do this, they're less likely to do it. So be mindful that the kids need to be a part of this process. Well, I'm really excited to hear what you all are coming up with and when you're choosing to create your routine charts. Now, I want to let you know and everybody else know that's not in boot camp that you can get all of this information that was shared this week in addition to all of the Facebook Lives if you are signed up for boot camp. So you either signed up before we started or maybe you signed up today. I am going to include a link in this very last email that you'll get tonight with access to all of the information. So I've created kind of a workbook with all of the information from all of the emails, so you have it in one place and you can access it and share it. And I also have all the videos, so you can go through and watch those as you go through each of the days and the different workouts and the different tools and strategies. Now, I have one other thing I want to share with you, and this is specifically to you boot campers. I have something special that I'm working on, and this is what I'm spending today on. I'm getting ready to share something with you, this kind of little bonus for signing up and participating. So be on the lookout for one last email tonight, okay? That last email is going to have something specific that I want to share just with you. So this is just a little gift or a little present, if you will. I'm not into giving rewards. And that's another thing I want to know. With these routine and responsibility charts, there are no rewards. There are no stars. There's no money being given. These are things that are reinforcing responsibility. So we don't want to get in the habit of rewarding, because then we create a dynamic where our child feels like they need to negotiate with us every step of the way when we ask them to do something. So just a little side note. All right, so this is Melissa Benaroya. I'm so glad you all were able to join me for Parenting Boot Camp. Please, if you have questions, I'm going to be answering questions all day today. I'm going to sign off this weekend because like I said, I'm working on something else, and I'm going to send that out to you. So be on the lookout for that. I am so excited to have so many of you in boot camp this fall. It's the last one I'm running in 2017, and I have something new and different coming next year. But I really loved all of the questions, the engagement, and the commitment that you made to making change in your parenting and enhancing the relationship that you have with your child. All right, everybody, I am signing off for now. If you don't see that email from me tonight, please let me know. Email me, message me, whatever it is. I want to make sure you get it because it's very time sensitive. I have a little gift for you, but there's a window for it. So please make sure that you reach out to me. If you don't hear from me, I will make sure I respond. All right, again, thank you all for joining me for Parenting Boot Camp, and I will hopefully hear from some of you today and see more of you online this year. Take care. Have a fantastic weekend. Bye.